Radio Caroline on 199, your all-day music station. We are on the air every day from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. The time right now is 1 minute past 12, and that means it's time for Christopher Moore.
Hello and happy Easter to all of you. This is Christopher Moore with the first record program on Radio Caroline. The first record is by the Rolling Stones, and I'd like to play it for all of the people who worked to put the station on the air, and particularly for Ronan.
Ah, my first memory is just the tune, Caroline. You know, which went round and thinking, oh, this is great. And then it was on the telly that they were going to get hold of them and prosecute them, and that's memories of the news.
Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline, the sound of the land. Caroline, the sound of the nation. Caroline.
Tony, tell me about today. What was the inspiration for it?
Just bring back the memories of pop pirate radio, which we had 3 ships off here in the 60s, Radio London, Caroline, Britain Radio, and I used to fish around them as a 12-year-old, and I loved their music, still love their music, and I think it's very important that we remember where a lot of music comes from today. It comes from the 60s, and we have Ronan and Riley to thank for that, and I just wanted to put everything together. Here we are 50 years on, and it's just incredible, and what a fantastic day.
Now, you were actually involved in Caroline back in the 80s, weren't you?
That's correct. 85 I joined, in November 85, on board the Windy, and we went alongside Ross Revenge, and that's during Euro Siege, when the DTI were out there on their spy ship trying to stop us, but they weren't that successful because we're always one step ahead of them. But it was great fun, and I looked after the ship and the crew over the years, but I missed all the best bits, like when the mast fell down, or if she went aground on the Goodwins. I wasn't on board at the time, but there you go. Life's like that.
And what does the skipper do of a ship that doesn't go anywhere?
Cook dinners. Just make sure everyone's fine, make sure we don't go anywhere, check our positions, make sure the anchor winches are okay, the engineers make sure the engines are fine. They run them up once a week, or used to anyway, on board the Ross, but an amazing ship, ex-Icelandic trawler. I met Ronan, first time I met Ronan was up in the King's Avenue in London, and we went into a little cafe, and he's very happy with my credentials, and he decided to call me Captain Campbell, because go with your real name you get arrested, so I was Captain Campbell, and he was very happy and had lots of dealings with Ronan. Incredible guy. Sadly he can't be here today, but it's him we do have to thank for, and lots of bands have him to thank for where they are today.
Thanks to everyone for turning up. Fantastic. Actually, I wasn't on Caroline to start with. I was only 12-year-old when they turned up off the coast here, but I joined in November 1985 on board the Ross Revenge, which is still down in Tilbury, home of Radio Caroline, and I was skipper through the 80s and 90s, a fantastic thing to be part of. So here we are, 50 years later, commemorating all the pirate stations, Radio London, City, Tower Radio, Radio North Sea, Veronica, Scotland, 270.
Peter Moore, how do you feel on this historic day?
I can't believe it's happened. I mean, I remember being a young man 50 years ago and thinking, this is interesting. And to be here 50 years later, it's just one sad thing. It means that a lot of my life has gone by, but I suppose I've enjoyed it.
Which era did you enjoy the most?
70s.
Why is that?
Best music. Absolutely, without any doubt.
Were there any times during your involvement where things were just really difficult and you thought you just can't go on?
Yeah, quite often in the late 80s, early 90s. It's a period of time I don't really like to think about too much because we took risks with people's lives, which was just a little bit too extreme.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the ship was unseaworthy, we didn't have the budget to supply it with the things it needed. We were accepting crew who weren't qualified or had no marine experience, and they shouldn't have been there, and I shouldn't really have sent them, and that's the truth of it.
Do you stay in touch with Ronan? When did you last speak to him?
This morning.
How is he?
He's all right. He has spells of being his old self and spells of not, but this morning he said via his new girlfriend that he's enjoying the music and dancing and singing to it, which is good. And he asked for a request, which obviously we played.
Peter, what brings you here today?
Oh, the wonderful memories of 50 years of Radio Caroline, golden radio station that changed the face of radio.
Sam, you were an RNLI crew member back in the 60s in the days of the Mi Amigo. What recollections do you have of rescues?
Yeah, I was a launcher and a crew member at that time, and we was always getting called out to people that were trying to get to the radio ships, more than actually going to the radio ships themselves. Like cabin cruisers breaking down and people trying to row out there and getting swept down with the tide, that sort of thing.
And did you ever rescue anybody or help anybody on the actual ship?
We were always bringing people ashore that were either sick. Sometimes it made you wonder whether they were sick or just short of food. But that was the way it was in them days. But, you know, we was always bringing them ashore.
It's a wonderful day. I'm pleased that a lot of the media are marking the occasion, because really when you think back to 1964, what Caroline did then was completely revolutionary. You know, it gave the British public what they wanted. Lots of music all day long, every day, and nobody had done it before.
And what are your memories of your time on board in the late 80s?
Generally pretty good ones. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that it wasn't hairy at times. My very first stint, we broke the anchor chain and we had to get the ship underway and get a standby anchor down. And then on my very last stint, a couple of years later, the 300-foot aerial tower came crashing down. So those were the hairy moments. But I know a lot of people are comparing this all with the movie The Boat That Rocked. It wasn't as glamorous or as interesting as that. Most days you'd get on the air, you'd do your show 4 or 5 hours long, maybe read a couple of news bulletins, and then, the boring things in life had to be done: cooking, cleaning, washing, etc. So, it wasn't as glamorous as some people think.
And how did your involvement come about in the station?
I'd worked with a guy called Mike Barrington on a pirate station in London called Radio Sovereign. And when that closed down, Mike eventually found his way out to Caroline. And they were apparently sitting around the mess room one night and saying, who can we get out here? They were a bit short of staff. And Mike put forward my name. And the next thing I knew was I was getting a phone call from a Canadian lady whose voice I recognised. She was one of the presenters, a girl called Sue Charles. And she wouldn't actually say who she was on the telephone, but she just sort of went, hi there, we have a mutual friend in Mike. Do you know where he is? And I went, yes. And then, as ever with Caroline, the clandestine thing continued. It's, do you like to go and join him? And I said, yeah, okay. Ronan was, yes, very much day to day, but he didn't like to be seen in public. And we used to meet him in a variety of restaurants and coffee bars on the King's Road. Occasionally he'd phone you. Normally he'd get somebody else to do it. If he did phone you, it was never as Ronan. I was always getting phone calls from Bob Kennedy, and he'd say, come up to London, and we'd meet in a variety of places that he would refer to as the A. Well, the A was the Asterisk restaurant, or the D, and the D was the Dome coffee bar. So he'd always say, we'll meet in the A or we'll meet in the D. And you'd go up, and it was never a question of Ronan asking how much money he owed you for your last stint out there. It was always, how much do you need? As in, how little can I get away with giving you? And for my first stint out there, which was 6 weeks long, I got paid the princely sum of £70.
Well, we came down, and the man, Percy Scadden, who took the tender out, said if we come down here on Wednesday, he'd take us out there. So me and my two friends, and we'd done a half-hour programme with Tony. And that was, when you're that age, we were so excited about it. It was brilliant,
Albert, you said some of the other boat owners were getting prosecuted.
Paul,
did you ever run into any trouble with the authorities?
Yes. On a few occasions, we were boarded by Essex police on one occasion. On 2 occasions. On the first occasion, they asked for our names, and I turned around and said, what if I don't want to give it? I said, well, that's fine. We will just hold you. He said, we're not asking anything. All we really want is your name and number. Basically, name and address. And that's all they were interested in. We did get a visit in the mid-80s when things started to get heavy, because obviously concerning laser as well. And we decided then to put a head down for a little while. They took a 13-page statement. And I said, well, we can't stop at 13. You've either got to tear one up or go to 14. This was in the July. They did do a few lines on the 14th. They came from the Alert 2, which was the crew from the police boat, the Alert 2. And they said, you'll be hearing from us. You know, we're intending to prosecute you under the Marine Broadcasting Offences Act for assisting Radio Caroline, and I said fine, prove it. In the Christmas cards we said no further action will be taken on this occasion through to lack of evidence. So I was quite pleased with that, and that was it. Otherwise, my comment was, if they didn't know what we were doing, they want their asses kicked. And many times they turned a blind eye. They knew what we were up to, you know, and providing we did it by the book, they were quite happy to let it continue.
Roy, what are your first memories of Radio Caroline?
Well, just the sheer volume of music that was played, really. It was just all day. We'd never had it before. And also different voices, different DJs. I mean, before you had the same DJs on the light programme that would do programmes on Luxembourg as well. Caroline were completely different. You know, it was all day music. Brilliant.
And which DJs do you remember the most?
Well, the first one was Simon D. It was the first, and also there was a chap called Christopher Moore, who was also later involved in the administration, the running, the programme direction and that sort of thing. But also it was the sense that it was live. You had this in the background when the DJs were speaking, you had the rumble of the generators, which they probably desperately tried to get rid of, but I quite came to like that sound. You know, the slight rumble of the generators in the background. It gave the impression that it really was coming from a ship, you know.
Let me walk behind you so that I can get a good shot. Yeah. On camera. And keep going. Take two.
And all you need is love. Now, I've already seen a couple of headlamps flashing at Walton, I think it is, or Frinton, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, now is the chance for the whole nation to flash their lights and show everyone parked around them that are listening to Radio Caroline. So, Pat, if you hit the jingle, and let's see there's some flashes now. Hey, beautiful. Well, we've got somebody flashing. Thank you very much indeed. We'll come back to you in just a moment.
Radio Caroline.
Okay, who's counting down? 10. Okay. 3, 2, 1. 12 o'clock. Happy birthday to all the pop bars, wherever you are. Fantastic. And there you go. Where's the helicopter? It should be here, but never mind. The fireworks have gone up. Happy birthday. Fantastic.
Denzil, Paul, let's auction this cake. Off you go, boy. Get every penny you can. £20 so far.
There you are.
Okay, all right. Who's going to do the first offer on this this cake? 30 quid. 30 quid. There you go. Look, somebody said 30 quid. Any more on 30?
Well, I'm a friend of Tony the Captain, Tony Haggis Captain. I met him about 10 years ago when I first moved here, and they had like an open day at Harwich. BBC Radio Essex were doing a pre-pirate radio day, and I managed to get onto the boat with Dave Cash and do some DJing and all that, because Caroline, I remember it from Liverpool. Up north, you know, and I wrote about it in my book, so it was nice. So it was nice to take part in this.
I was home on my vacation for, I believe, Easter, approximately 1964, and this little ship sailed into the little port, anchored up at the quay, and lo and behold, we had no knowledge, I as a young student, what was going to take place. But lots of workmen came and were assembling the whole structure, and then I saw a large antenna arrive, and I hastened to ask different individuals what was this antenna for. I was told it was either for a weather ship or a navigation at sea aspect. So I took that to be the truth. But we noticed that the ship was building its cabins and it's installing all its accommodation and various aspects. and then the gentleman had to get this great big aerial up. So over that Easter period, I saw the aerial erected on the Frederica as I knew it, and a week or so later, she was ready for sea, and I was going back to my college for the rest. But I then realised soon after that music could be heard from a pop radio station, and I was enthusiastic, and I grabbed a transistor radio pretty swiftly to hear that it was a ship called Radio Caroline, and hence I never stopped listening to it for the rest of my young life, always tuning in to such lovely pop music.
Thank you. Thanks the weather, the place, and everyone who's been involved. Fantastic. Let's carry on.
Have I the right to thrill you? You know I'd wait until you give me the right to make you mine. Yeah, come right back. I just can't bear it. I got this love and I love to share it. Come right back. I'll show my love is strong. Oh yeah. Have I the right to hold you? You know I've always told you that we should never ever part. Oh, have I the right to kiss you? You know I'll always miss you. I've loved you from the very start. Hey, come right back. I just can't bear it. I got this love to share it.
Oh yeah, I think about you night and day. I need you and it's true. When I think about you, I can say I'm never blue. So I'm telling you, my friend, that I get you in the end. Yes, I will, I'll get you in the end. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man, play a song for me. In the jingle jangle morning, I'll come far away.
Loving awareness, Radio Caroline. Love and good music, Radio Caroline.
And so we come to the close of another day's transmissions from Radio Caroline 558. We trust you've enjoyed our programmes and will rejoin us sometime tomorrow. Our programmes commence at 5 o'clock.
Love and good music, Radio Caroline.